Hey, good afternoon, everybody. Sorry about the change in time. But as we've been talking about for the last few weeks, we are kind of busy and crunching to getting Beta One out to you by Wednesday. So this is going to be a very different stream. I am just going to talk for about 5 minutes about where we're at, what are our challenges, and then I'll open it up to some questions. And then I got to get back to work because you guys probably would like some more information in the manual about crafting if we can open up on Beta 1 Day 1. So, where are we? Still working towards it. We do not have any one bug that is holding us up. As we've been talking about for the last few weeks, we started with well over 100 bugs. We're down to about 40 as of this morning. We've got some big pieces of code going in. Well, one definitely going in, maybe two going in terms of helping performance a bit. We've been things have been going in at all hours of the day and night, whether they're assets, whether it's code fixes, trying to, again, get you folks Beta 1 by Wednesday. It is still too close to call. We are desperate, and I mean absolutely desperate, to get testing going on the latest build. Hopefully, we'll have a new WADA prep build within the next hour, and then we want as many of you to come in as possible. We're going to start with alphas, and then if everything goes well, we'll get in the betas. We're also planning on doing testing this weekend to get more people in. That, at the end of the day, will be our final determination, or will allow us, to make the final determination about Beta 1. If we can get enough of you in and playing and things go great, then yeah, hey, Beta 1. On the other hand, if we get a bunch of you in and not so good, or worse, go badly, then we're going to delay Beta 1. It is solely up to what we find out during testing and how much more progress we make on bugs. We've been working 6-7 days and into the wee hours of the morning. Both Seattle and Virginia, as well as the folks that are remote, have put in a lot of extra time in order to get us to this point. If you haven't been in a build yet, it's worth seeing. The home islands are starting to look really good. I'm especially happy with the TDD. That is starting to have a very TDD-ish feel. But all this stuff is absolutely version 1, and frankly 0.1 compared to where we want it to be. So having said that, there is no bad news, which I guess is good news. And the good news, and it really is good news, the good news is no matter what happens, whether we make Beta 1 on Wednesday or we miss Beta 1 on Wednesday, the version you get is going to be so much better than many other games have launched with in terms of stability, in terms of bugs. We are absolutely crawling through a lot of the little critters in order to get it fixed. Get them fixed for Beta 1 Day 1. We have no intention of launching Beta 1 with the number of bugs we had. It certainly would not be unheard of for even a game to launch with the number of bugs we have. We're not going to do that. We're not even going to launch a Beta 1 with that. If we end up delaying, that will continue to be our focus. We have zero plans to add any scope in the weeks or days, hopefully, in between. It will solely be about taking care of the bugs and giving you guys the kind of B1, D1 version that frankly you deserve. So having said that, let's get to Q&A. Let's focus on Beta 1 if you can. I'll probably keep this to 2:30, 20 or so minutes, but we'll see based on the questions. So go.
All right, just to start things off on the right foot.
Oh,
Uh,
and hold that thought. And by the way, I'll also be streaming on Origin PC Live at 4 o'clock Eastern Daylight Time. So less than 2 hours from now, I'll also be chatting with them about beta. It's no, there's no secret announcement or no arrangement there to say, hey, we're gonna, do it there if you give us free PCs. There's nothing like that. They're just some Dark Age and RVR fans there, and they reached out, and of course I said, sure, let's chat.
Lotoween asks, one last time, just for old time's sake, can you tell us if Beta 1 will be starting sorta soon, soonish, soon TM, sooner, very soon, soonest, or too soon to tell?
Too soon to tell. Though we may know by the end of the. Honestly, it all depends on the testing. If we can get enough people in today, and we find things that we didn't expect that were bad, we'll call it. I told you folks from, God, over the last couple months, but especially the last few weeks, we would tell you as soon as we made the determination. We can't make the determination right now if we're going to make it or we're going to miss it. It's that close. We haven't had the large-scale testing that we needed and that we need. So that's why we're doing what we're doing now.
Paladin Brewer asks, is there something special about these 40 bugs? I mean, we're expecting Beta 1 to be pretty buggy regardless. Why is it important to fix these specific 40?
We want to come in, we're late. There's a newsflash, right? We're late, and we want to give you the version you deserve. And while that's an easy thing to make very subjective, right? Like, well, what's the version you deserve? What kind of features should be in there? How much content should be in there? The one thing that I can say our backers deserve, and this frankly, even though very few things are not subject to debate with me, this is one that isn't subject to debate. What you deserve is a version that is not so full of bugs. It feels like you've wandered into a horror movie. It shouldn't be that bad. It just shouldn't. And that's what we're trying. Now, bugs are not design errors. Obviously, there are things in there in the data that's probably wrong that we don't know yet. But I'm talking about absolutely, the kind of bugs that world collision being off, so you're falling through the world, or clicking on things doesn't work properly, or the interface doesn't work properly. We want to eliminate as much of those as we can. Are we going for zero? If we could, we would, but that's not realistic because there's almost no way to find every bug that there could be in the game. What we're doing is just keep adding and subtracting from the list based on everything we find, and we want to get it really close to zero.
Paston asks, 1.5 weeks ago you were asking for dedicated testers in your guinea pig thread. Was the thread utilized, or did you already have enough testers?
Oh, no.
Based on how many alpha and IT were posting the thread.
And we still plan on using that thread. We have Monday, Tuesday, don't forget. Over the weekends, we know we can get more people. We just haven't been in the position of having a really great Nawada prep build to get you folks in. Hatchery's been way too unstable because we constantly are changing things and pushing things through quickly. So Nawada prep was supposed to be and is supposed to be that more stable, release candidate. That may happen today. No, we want anyone who's posted on that thread. We want to know your names, especially if we're pushing towards beta on Monday and Tuesday. Testing. This is the second biggest impact of GDPR, is that we lost the testing time we wanted to have. So hopefully we'll get some this weekend. Even more hopefully we'll get Monday and Tuesday, because that means we're still we still hadn't made the call to delay beta. So if we're doing this Monday and Tuesday, it's probably a very good sign.
Heartfire says, Mark, just a big thank you for you and the team's dedication and passion. You are amazing, and everyone on the team is doing a great job and is working hard.
Thank you, Heartfire. Yeah, they are. This group is doing everything that's asked, and even things that aren't asked of them. The work, the amount of bugs we squashed, the amount of new content we've put in, all of that new, features that had to go in. It's all going in very rapidly, and usually very well. Every so often something explodes, but that's part of what happens in the final push, especially when it's a kind of a rush for a beta or a live game. Same thing happened with Warhammer. Same thing happened with Dark Age. As some of you folks who are probably in the stream remember from Dark Age's launch, there were definitely broken things. Same with WoW, as a matter of fact. So, this will be no different. We're just hoping to cut that number way down.
On the YouTube chat, John Milligan asks, is the plan currently to have a significant in-combat run speed difference between players based on race mass, armor weight, stats, etc.?
Short answer is yes. There are going to be differences, and they could be substantial. And don't forget the abilities as well. I don't think he mentioned abilities, did he?
Well, he said etc. So
yeah, okay. So yeah, if etc. was abilities, absolutely. Run speed, the ability to move quicker than an enemy is kind of useful in a game like ours. And it's one of the balancing factors, of course, of, hey, I want to wear the heaviest armor and be the, most protected tank I can be, but I don't have anyone with me who's running a speed buff. Oops. So, yeah, expect that to play a role in the game.
Hey, folks, there's lots of you and only the two of us, so if the chat skips ahead and I don't get to every question, my apologies. You can always ask on the forums.
Yep, it's not personal.
Exactly. Know the White Lotus asks, question, do you plan at any stage of beta to make PvP 24/7?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I'm sure we'll have some tests that once the servers are really stable and human intervention free to run overnight testing. No question. I mean, there's just zero doubt about that. Maybe even during beta 1. I mean, the one thing that certainly we've been known for, besides the delay, is how stable our code has been. That's a kind of big deal. And if we can continue with that, and we certainly hope we can, we'd very much like to run, overnight or 24-hour tests. I don't want us to be in a position of, having to have people always standing by. So once we're comfortable with that, yeah, I have no problem with that.
A Crispy Taco TV asks, for Beta 1, what is being done to assure there will be a smooth launch day? Most games' launch day is plagued with issues, such as servers unable to handle the influx of players. Will there be extra servers available?
Prayer, Mr. Savick. The Klingons don't take prisoners. We're going to try our best. No guarantees. Certainly, expecting large number of people to show up at one time is something we hope to see happen, but it's not something that we've seen to date, which is not surprising. But we've been working on a bunch of stuff with the code, so that if all of a sudden 300 people all descended on, the game at that same millisecond, that the game would actually be able to handle that many all trying to get in at that exact time without, much of a blip. We've been able to do it before, of course. We just would like to be able to do it with very little bit of lag. But we'll see.
Paston asks, many of my friends love leaderboards. Will we have them like they are on the website in another form or not for Beta 1?
Don't know, but yes, you'll have them I guess I should say in some form, yes. Like the website or as good as we'd like it to be, probably not. But that depends how things go, especially things with hiring.
Patch Notes MH wants to know if we're going to have a time and day testing schedule.
Oh, of course. Yeah, absolutely. The idea is once we get into beta one, is to have a much more regular schedule. I think I've talked about this. No, I know I've talked about this on the forums, where during beta one we want to be absolutely testing every weekend, um, even if it means using a slightly older build, and then during the week doing additional testing with newer builds. So yeah, we want to schedule. We want to get you folks in a lot. They won't be running 24/7 at that point. No way. We certainly also don't want to burn you folks out on the game, because if you open too often and too much, and the game isn't as evolved as it should be because it's still beta one, then people can get a little bit tired of it. So we don't want that to happen either. So we'll find a happy medium.
Helzik asks, will we get a sort of road to beta 2 after beta 1 comes out? How clearly can the future of the game's development be outlined?
Certainly, we're already working on that. We won't be talking about it for a while, and frankly, a lot depends on, what we see during the beginning of Beta One. If the classes are looking great right from the beginning, if we think they need less work than we might fear, then that will affect the schedule. Like I said, hiring is going to affect the schedule. So, we're not going to put ourselves in the position of saying, hey, this is what you can expect for a roadmap towards Beta 2 or a date for quite a while. We have to see how things shake out.
Rocket Mist asks, have we heard anything about what days we're testing? Friday night fights and Saturday sieges?
Yeah, that's what we'd love to do again. I think the Friday night fights were great. Saturday night sieges it's still the plan. The question is, what are we ready for? And that's as soon as we can get this current build-up, we can have a much better idea of what we're ready for the opening of Beta 1.
Elam DK asks, what kind of PvP should we expect in Beta 1? What kind of scale?
Okay, well, actually, let me go back and I'll answer that in a sec. And one of the reasons I keep saying we need testing is that we are now testing for the first time the format of Beta 1, which is starter islands, contested islands, builder islands. We haven't had that in until we started on this push over the last couple weeks. So this is a totally new format for us. It involves obviously a fair amount of tech, the ability to move between the islands and show the islands and all the things that needed to be done on the islands. So it's not like this is something that we just pulled, from the files and were able to put in. So in terms of what kind of PvP, the scale, that's what we want to find out with the testing we're doing now. We're hoping it will be 300-person battles. That's what we want to find out. And frankly, if it's not 300 to begin with, it will be 300 soon. We've got some perf regression we're working on. We'll see. And by the way, by 300-person battles, I'm also talking about specific scenarios as opposed to open world. Open world isn't a problem. The scenarios are a bit more complicated. A bit more things happen in a scenario than would happen in an open world PvP setup. So you can expect, at a minimum, the kind of scale that you you should be able to expect the kind of scale you can't get in other PvP games or RVR games.
On the YouTube chat, Ficos asks, we get a lot of artist and programmer streams, which is great. What about a designer stream? I would love to see you and or Ben in a brainstorming session or tweaking spreadsheets.
Tweaking spreadsheets is just boring as hell. But I can do that if people really want. It's not like there are any secrets with, especially now, with say the crafting spreadsheets. We're posting all the information that's important to you folks. We're not hiding recipes. I'm working on that now. Christina wrote a great little, program to pull in all the data from the spreadsheets and put them out in a format that's human readable. You folks will have that information, and so yeah, at some point I can happily do a stream, and yeah, that actually makes sense. I'll do a stream where when we're in beta one, remind me of this if I forget. Once we're in beta one, I'll do a stream of adding from beginning to end a bunch of items from my perspective. Not adding the icons or the art or go into the world or go into the editor. Just the stuff I do in spreadsheets in terms of laying out items, laying out crafting recipes, substances. It's a cool little process. It works really, really well. Very flexible, and it allows us to iterate incredibly quickly on changes. It's one of the things I'm writing. Actually right now in the beta one document, just how many substances there are already, and how many items, and how easy it is to tweak. It really is simplicity itself. The system we put together just works brilliantly. It's remarkably easy, which I like very much. Christina's done a great job on that.
Tinnis asks, what is the plan on day one in terms of test time window and duration?
Well, hopefully it'll be all day. Once we roll into here on the 4th, open things up and then test. At least that's what we're hoping. I think that at a minimum, if things are the way we expect, the first day that we open, we should be open a lot of hours. So that's what we're going to shoot for.
Strike asks, is there a special reason for your interview at Origin PC?
Oh, you must have missed that in the beginning. No reason at all. They have RVR and Dark Age of Camelot fans, and they asked about us, or they asked to speak to us, spoke to Andrew, and then spoke to me. That's it. Honestly, you guys know me, and Strike, you know me especially from Discord. I'm not big on lying about stuff, so there's nothing hidden. There's no deep reveal. There's no special reveal. There's no, hey, this is an appearance in exchange for some kind of remuneration or endorsements. They make really cool PCs and really powerful PCs, and Lord knows our engine can stress really powerful PCs. So, there's some happy meeting of not only the minds but the objectives of each company. So that's it. Nothing more.
Love My Wife 68 asks, what's your favorite Beta 1 class?
Oh God, I haven't had any time to play a Beta 1 class enough to tell you what my favorite is. It's really been, I wish I could. I just really haven't played each class enough to say there's a favorite. Besides, even if I did, I wouldn't tell you guys. Then people start to think, oh, this is the reason this guy or gal is OP is because MJ likes it.
Odilvik passes along a question from Tinnis. Will CSC create blueprints of entire buildings or keeps for those that can't design, and to create a default realm style, or only created by community?
We'd rather have the community created, obviously. Part of the reason we're doing this is to engage crafters and builders, and we would love it if they can supply it. Now, certainly, if we see that it's going a way that we don't like and doesn't fit with the realm, we'd have a discussion with them about that. Um, but it's not like we have the time nor the inclination to be, the equivalent of the term. I'm sure many of you have heard it, especially in the States, condo Nazis. We don't really have much interest in that. On the other hand, we just don't want to, penis statues to be or penis buildings, the structures, to be the norm either.
Should we give a 5-minute warning? There are
No,
lots of people and questions.
Keep going. It's going
All
well.
right.
Almost everyone's focusing on beta, so this is great.
Great. Let's see. A couple people have asked this. Equinox Day Z asks, how many people do you expect for B1, and does that play into server stability?
I have no idea. Honestly, we have no idea how many are going to show up. I know how many have accounts for Beta 1. I have no clue as to how many will show. We have our guesses, but we won't know until we are actually there.
Drooged wants to know if we could have a similar opportunity like Munchies for Crunchies if the Beta 1 starts on July 4th to have a barbecue and spread catered to the office.
That would be really sweet, but we said before we went into Final Crunch for Beta that we did that once, and I wasn't going to do it again. If after we're in Beta 1, if you folks want to do something, that's great, but we want to earn this first. We want to prove to you all that we haven't been wasting, your time, your money, and our time as well. And so when we've earned that right, fantastic. That'd be really sweet. We do enjoy that. But we want to earn it first before anyone makes any plans for anything. But I really do appreciate it.
Obelvik passes along a question from Gyron. For Beta 1, have you spent time discussing how to make the entirety of the map as fun of a place to be in for RVR as the front lines?
Yeah, we've been starting to talk about that. Certainly, the things we're going to be doing in Beta 1 is all geared to that. Well, not all, but a lot of it is geared to that. Running the scenarios, designing scenarios is all about not only testing certain types of battles, but the kind of layouts that belong on the map. So, yeah, a lot of that during Beta 1. A lot of that.
Red HZZ asks, hey Mark, I know you want to reward your founders and backers for the delays. How about reserving their forum names as in-game names so they don't get stolen? There's always a race to reserve long-used names when MMOs are released, and this would be a great gesture.
Subject to what we've already promised backers, which is that if they bought the tier that allows, or the add-on that allows them to reserve the name, subject to that, that seems like a fair thing to do. Let me think about it, remind me of this, but that seems like something very fair. I had not thought about that, to be honest, but that seems like a fair thing to do. Good thought. Again, remind me of it, post on the forums, that sort of thing. Thank you very much for that.
To Shut Kid Up asks,
nice.
Or would if the chat hadn't just skipped.
Oh, and the light just went out.
And a light just went out. This is extra fun right now.
Yeah, hey. Hang on a sec. No? Okay.
We'll live with it.
Yeah. Aww. To shut Kid
It
up.
just needs to be plugged in. I think it ran out of battery. Okay. Yeah, I lost that question. Sorry.
Shut Kid Up, ask again.
To shut Kid Up, ask that one again.
Ask that again, and we will definitely get to your question, whatever it was.
Whatever it was. Dark Society Network asks, is that the official beta world map on your shirt?
Maybe that's where I got the idea from now. This is another one of the many shirts I got, oh gosh, what was it, 10 years ago, 8, 9 years ago, in Hawaii when I went for the first time. Apparently the best place to buy Hawaiian shirts, it was either a Kmart or a Walmart that was right in Honolulu. And they had these just like $10 and $12 shirts that were really soft, because I'm a big thing on texture. I can't wear a lot of shirts or even pants if the texture's off. And these things were like very, very soft and cheap, and it was like great. I bought a whole bunch. I don't remember if I hit a dozen, but I know I bought more than a half a dozen.
All right, To Shut Kid Up asks, for streamers, will we be allowed to stream during Beta 1, or will there some NDA not allow it?
Yeah, there'll be an NDA in the beginning. We want to lift it as soon as possible. We also might have limited lifts, meaning that if we say, hey, we're going to do let there be a lot of light all of a sudden. During certain tests, we might say, sure, go ahead and stream. Other tests, for example, if we're testing a new mechanic and we think things could, explode badly, we may not want to do it. It will certainly, I can guarantee that at some point during Beta 1, we will absolutely lift most restrictions on, on streaming. We want to give the streamers a chance, to start, of course, to build an audience and to have some fun. But we want to make sure that we don't need to make sure that everything is perfect, because it won't be. But we want to make sure that everything is working as well as it should be.
Valor MH asks, we just started seeing warband functionality testing. How soon will we start seeing order functionality?
I'd have to ask JB. I don't know when that's supposed to go in.
Let's see. Redhead Jesse asked, when are we going to get some more updates to Cube in terms of texture, curved buildings, etc.?
Yeah, you're starting to get, we've been making a lot of changes to Cube in order to get it, ready for Beta 1. Unfortunately, a lot of those happened very late in the game. As always, it's an issue of programmer power, and we just don't have enough. We're still trying. There are some improvements to it and changes, lots of them to it. The biggest improvements to Cube will come later this year, especially after we go from the 32-bit client to the 64-bit client. We've been talking about this for a while. It would have been nice to have for now, but it would have taken too much time. And frankly, it wasn't worth delaying Beta 1 for. But once we're in Beta 1, that's one of the top priorities for us, is to get the 64-bit client, and that will solve a number of issues for us, including number of textures.
I am for Schnitzel asks, I should have gotten that the first time. When can we expect the first EU server beta test, and how frequent will they be in general?
I love Schnitzel. Oh my God, Schnitzel is awesome. By the way, when exactly? I don't want to give a date because I don't know the date, but the answer is soon after Beta 1. We definitely, 100% definitely, want to get you EU guys and gals in on an EU server. And some of the work we've been doing as we've been setting up for testing AWS versus GCP, Google Cloud Platform, will make that easier. So, yeah, expect it fairly soon after beta 1.
Drooged announces, I will be selling phallus monuments to place on newly taken enemy plots.
Of course
These
you
will
will.
be in my Frontier store. Ask the clerk for details.
Of course.
Let's see. Salty Chew and a couple of other people want to know if there's an estimated time for the beta 1 start on the 4th, if it happens.
Probably 10 a.m. On the 4th, but we'll see.
Valdi313 asks, how soon after beta 1 launch will it be before we get our beta invite keys for friends?
Beta 1 invites or beta 3 invites?
It just says beta invite
Invites.
keys, but most of those are beta 3.
Correct.
Darlgon asks, will there be any benefit for updating the launcher the day before the beta? Thanks for all the hours to everyone at CSC.
Oh yeah, update it. Definitely the day before would be nice. Thank you.
Nova asks, will you guys be streaming B1D1 live?
No. Most likely, no. One never knows if things go better than expected. Sure, maybe we'll stream a little bit, but we'd have to see how things go. No promises. We're doing, again, a lot of this stuff feels like the last minute, but keep in mind this was supposed to be 3 weeks ago. But with the time we lost the GDPR, there went those 3+ weeks. So, as you folks look at us, especially if we do have to announce a delay, please understand that we are actually, if we had planned on GDPR in January, which would have put us in a minority of companies, especially American companies, not European companies, but based on what I've read, probably even European companies, we're actually on schedule, which is really hard to believe. But we did say we were going to have 3 weeks of testing before launch and, beta 1 launch. And we've lost that from, a lot of our engineers. Andrew, JB, Tam, Mark Hernandez, Charles, just one after another put in a lot of time. And so, that put us off schedule. But the nice thing is, and again, I know it sounds like it's making an excuse, but we didn't have GDPR in mind when we set out the schedule. So we're actually, on track, which is, again, hard to see. Harder to believe.
Andrew just announced something in the chat that I think we should repeat. There should be a torrent to preload your launcher. Check the forums next week.
Yes, thank you, Andrew.
Should put that in the manual.
Yeah.
Forte25 asks, can we expect actual character creation day 1 B1?
Oh yeah, it's in there. It's been in there. Sorry to sound so surprised. No, it's all there. It's a beta 1 character creation, so it's very simple, but you've got Banes and Boons, you've got stats that matter, you have different classes, different races. Yeah, that's all in there.
On the YouTube chat, Chomel Alexander asks, do you have an experienced PvP theory crafter that works for a balanced RVR experience?
Well, we've got a bunch of people who, to say that they're experienced PvPers would be a great understatement. So we have a bunch of us who know a lot about this, and we talk about things. So I think that works for now, certainly.
Nyx Nightwish asks, during Beta 1, will we see the entire skill/magic building system, or just a portion of it?
portion of it for B1D1. We're starting with canned abilities. Where we go from there, we need to see how those work, and from there we go to the building system, or potentially more abilities, whichever we want to do first.
Killer Bean 509 asks, I was reading that Beta 2 people may be asked to join Beta 1 people at times. Will you post it on Twitter or email people?
Oh my God, of course. Yeah, we'll be doing both. We'll post it on the schedule, we'll post it on our forums, and we'll send an email out. As always, check your spam box. We don't want it to be a surprise for people. We wait till the last minute. We'll absolutely tell you folks that we want to get you in.
Valdi313 asks, any alpha tests this weekend to help with Beta 1 prep?
That's what we're hoping. The key is we got to get a stable build to prep. We have a very stable build right now, with the exception of it wasn't working, or the multi-zone wasn't working on all the zones. On the other hand, when I was playing it earlier today and yesterday, when you go up to certain points in the map, you can see the other islands, and that just looks cool. That was very nice. That made me feel good. You dropped something, Max. So yeah, hopefully the portals are in and working now or shortly, and as soon as we can get that version up on prep, we'll bring in the alphas, and after that tonight we hope the betas, and hopefully not even tonight, hopefully this afternoon. I just want to give the alphas first shot and make sure that it doesn't explode.
Mr. Peace 84 asks, how is hiring proceeding?
Slowly, a little more slowly than we hoped. Sadness. There was good news and bad news in Washington. Obviously, with wargaming shutting down, we spoke to a lot of people. We thought we had a couple really good candidates that are going to much greener pastures, but we still got other strong candidates in the mix. So we'll keep you folks posted. Big mistake. Should have gone with us.
Pachamos asks, Mark, are the nerves getting to you with Beta 1 release coming up?
Oh, God, no. Boy, tired? That's certainly getting to me. Last night or the night before, I was here to 1-ish. Unfortunately, couldn't fall asleep until like 4-ish. So getting up then at 8:30 wasn't conducive to being in the best of shape for last night, and I had to, head home early. I only stayed here to 10. But nerves? Nah. There's really nothing to be nervous about, quite frankly. Some things to care a lot about, but not be nervous. I mean, the worst thing that happens is we announce a delay. I mean, that's it. It's not the end of the world. Certainly it's disappointing, but we expect that if we do, it will be made up for by the quality of what you folks get. So that's why no nervousness. The investors are 100% with us. Spoke to them yesterday. They couldn't be more thrilled with the effort and where we are. Because again, if it wasn't for GDPR, we would be absolutely on track. And I know that sounds like an excuse, and it's not. It's a reason. Excuses I hate. Reasons are good. But we lost reason. We lost a lot of key programmer time, and that's the biggest reason. Those are the biggest reasons behind the delays. Not that the programmers weren't working real hard and trying to make up the time, but no one's magical. But we did lose that time, and we had a terrible choice to make. We could either ignore the EU directives or not. And when it became clear to us that GDPR was going to go in, was going to be enforced, like they weren't going to ask, they weren't going to delay the application of the rules. We did what a lot of good companies did, which was go, okay, we're going to do what we need to do and do it in a way that didn't screw over our European backers. There are still newspapers, including some owned by very rich people, that are treating European citizens as second-class citizens. We're not. We're treating all of our backers the exact same way, with the kind of care and effort that you folks would expect from us, and that cost us the time. It is that simple. And so, having said all that, that's why I'm not nervous. I know we did the right thing. We did the right thing for our backers now. We did our right thing for the backers going forward. And the team has performed as expected, which is why we're even in this position. Frankly, if they hadn't been doing such a good job, we wouldn't be here. I'd be sitting here going, sorry, we're delayed for, a couple months. But I'm not saying that. I'm here saying, hey, everything is great. We're moving forward. And hopefully, we'll announce Beta 1, but we still have to get you folks to jump in. That's a better position than I thought we might be in. I was very afraid when we went through and made the choice to go for GDPR, that we'd be in that position. And that it would be if there was a delay, it would be a much longer one than the one that, if we announce one, it would be, this time, barring finding something tragically bad. So yeah, I'm not the least bit nervous.
Super Dorka says, I love that this game is doing so much with a lower amount of money and staff to deal with.
Thank you. There have been, over the last 6 months or so, a lot of people have been saying to us that to us, not just backers. When you look at what this team has done, and you look at what we've delivered on so far, yeah, we're kind of late. No argument. But if you look at the tech we've delivered, if you look at the ability that we have of putting so many people, not on the same server, but in the same room, essentially, in the same small space. If you look at, the way the animation works, if you look at, the amount of objects we can render, the amount of work that's been done by this little team in Virginia and Seattle is pretty special. Lord knows there are bigger teams that haven't been able to do that. And we're a small team that's able to do it. Funny, just like another small team back in, 2001 launched a game that much, much larger companies had failed to do. And we did ours back then in less time than anyone else had done it. So that's pretty good too. Both teams were really made up of great people, hardworking people, and just as we delivered back in the Mythic days, I have no doubt that this team is going to deliver on this.
Briar C7A1 asks, for the island tech during Beta 1, does this include physics-based objects crossing server zones, for lack of a better term? I'm curious how this tech is progressing.
Sure, that will happen during Beta 1 at some point, not Beta 1 Day 1. Beta 1 Day 1, the islands are split off. We have the contested island, which is, as it sounds, a contested island. And then we have the different Beta 1, Day 1 Builder Islands and Safe Island. There's been no change to the tech. We haven't done anything and either for it or to break it. So I assume it's working just fine. It's just not something we focused on for B1D1.
Snow Fury asks, is magic still a bunch of fireworks?
You'll have to see. And the answer is no.
Noble White Lotus asks, what stage of beta do you expect detailed crafting to be in the game?
Well, so that's the interesting thing, right? And this is what I'm actually writing about. Detailed crafting is in the game. So by detail, I mean you have substances, and you have a fair number. You have purified substances, once again, a fair number. You have alloys, a bigger number, and then you have items, bigger number. You can take multiple parts of things. Well, you can take a thing and then use it to create a different thing. You can then take that different thing, combine it with something else to make something else. You can then take that thing and make and other things to make once again other things. So if you mean that kind of detail, it's in now, and that stuff is all timed. Now it's not timed the way it's going to be in the real game, because that would just be mean. But that's all in there. The idea of adding again multiple ingredients of different quality, that's all in there. So in terms of that kind of detail, it's there. And as I pointed out in the document, we're at 220, 230 different items that can be crafted, and 60 core substances. And that's, again, core substances, not purified substances, not alloys. That's just core substances. And that number is going to grow. And to keep in mind that with all that, differences in quality of the materials you use make a difference to the item. So, if you're looking for a game where you can take a lot of different things, combine them in certain ways, and get other things out, we've already got that. If you're looking for a game where you can create a lot of things with differences, we've got that. That's going to become even more apparent during the first probably 60 days, not 30 days, because I want to play around with the numbers a lot before I go to the next level of crafting, which is the infusions. But we'll have that all in months into B1. Now, the one thing you won't get, if you're looking for a game where all the mini games are in, if there are going to be mini games, where the final crafting experience is in, then that is not in what we're doing. Like we've talked about in the past, it's not for us about building something that looks pretty, that feels like the finished game. What's important to us is to build something with crafting, like the rest of the game, that allows us to make the decisions that we need for the final game. That doesn't lock people in. I mean, all of you folks who are listening to me have heard, gosh, lots of other games say, well, we've gone down this path and we've spent all these resources, so now we can't change it. We're doing the exact opposite. I mean, the crafting UI was done by Me Huge, so first, thanks, Me Huge. It's great. The amount of mini games that are in there right now is zero. The amount of hard, expensive assets that we had to make or effects that we had to make is minimal. So we can change course really, really easily on this. If we decide that where we're going is either too complicated or isn't fun or isn't working, we can make changes incredibly easily. And that's what's so important about that and other things for Beta 1 and why we're doing things this way. You will never hear us say, and I can guarantee this, you will never hear us say during the beginning of Beta 1 or during Beta 1, nope, sorry, we're locked in, we've spent these resources, or nope, we're locked in and that's all there is to it. We're doing these things so we can change, so I can go, with crafting, no, this was a dumbass idea, let's just change it. Or, hey, no, this is great, let's keep tweaking it. That's the most important thing. The final structure, how it works, whether some of it's done via a mini game, or is it done just like we're doing it now, all through the Vox, that might have a small mini game built into it, which isn't really a mini game, more like working with the different switches and dials and stuff on the Vox. That needs to come later. If you're doing that first, you're doing it wrong. We're doing this the right way so we can get your feedback, get everything we need to know from you folks so we can make the right decisions. So, If that's the kind of crafting system you're looking for in B1, D1, and for certainly the first 90 days, that's exactly what you're going to see.
Should we
Last
give
question.
Okay, last question.
Yep.
Here we go.
Yeah, isn't it? It's almost 3.
Yeah, I was going to give a minute warning, but we can do the last question. John Milligan asks, what kind of thought process should we have going into Beta 1 regarding making the most effective use of our playtime to benefit development?
Yeah, that's a great question. So, 2 things. First, always remembering that this is a Beta 1. That's really important. And Beta 1 old school, we've been very clear right from the beginning with people. We're an old school beta, just like we're an old school alpha. For those of you who played, for example, Dark Ages beta, and before, you guys know what we went through. So keep that in mind. And second, just play. I mean, just play like you would in any other game. Join in the scenarios, battle people. Don't get frustrated by what you don't have, because again, this is Beta 1 and the opening of Beta 1. So if you think, but I need these other abilities, work with you have and let's see what happens. We need, the system that we're building is very complex. It's very powerful. The ability system is incredibly flexible. So we can make changes, just like in the crafting system, fairly quickly and in a way, that is very different than, a game like Dark Age or Warhammer could do, simply because the ability system is different. It's not a question of a quality of a team or anything like that, just very different systems. So go in, remember it's a Beta 1, and then join us for as many scenarios as you can and, beat the snot out of people. The progression system, is going to be in there, so we're going to start to, make sure that that's working the way we want it to. There'll be other things that we're going to be putting in to make it feel more and more like the real game. And, also help us on the forums and, let us know what you think about things. I mean, as always, I ask people to just follow the tasks and be respectful. And by respectful, I don't mean you have to agree with us. Just don't be, don't be a jackass on there. And it's all good. That will help us a lot. We're not looking for you folks to go out and multiply. You're not looking for you to go out and recruit more people or, do the things that some other games do. What we want is for you folks to come in, have fun, and let us know what you think. That's the most important thing you can do for us during Beta 1, because Beta 1 is going to dictate Beta 2. If we get Beta 1, the sooner Beta 1 is in good shape, the sooner we can move and bring in either new classes and new races and move to the next stage of Beta. So I think, and I hope that answers your question. So having said all that, and now that I'm getting very thirsty because I just managed to drink a giant cup of water, we thank you as always for your support. We thank you for your patience. I have zero doubt that it won't be rewarded. You will see in Beta 1 how different the game feels than it did before, how different it looks. The animations, for those who haven't been in a while, are coming along really nicely and feeling very good. They're not all there yet. That's the whole point of Beta as well. But I think you'll like what you see. And expect Beta to change a lot. Beta is anything but a stagnant process. And that's one of the exciting things I hope for you folks. When you get into most betas nowadays, it is a much more finished product. You can have very little impact, generally, on most betas, because in a lot of cases, they've already come in from Asia, or the game developer is just using the beta as a way to make more money while the game isn't finished. And there's nothing wrong with that, as long as they're honest about it. Our beta is totally different. And that's really cool. You folks really will get to have a say on how we do things and impact how we do things. That's really not normal by today's standards. You see it in everything from crafting to the ability system. What you say to us matters, how you play, the things we learn, our willingness to change direction if we think we're doing something, wrong. You don't get that in most games nowadays. And that's just because the manner of doing things has changed. We're doing things the way I told you we would. And that means for all of you who participate, you're going to have a chance to really help us. And we've proven already, and I know that sometimes people say, oh yeah, that's what the developer always says. You're right. A lot of developers say that. But for those of you who have backed us, from whether it was from the Kickstarter or even a few, 2 years ago, you've seen we've kept our promises. Dates are dates, and it sucks when you don't meet them, but we've kept every important promise we've made to you, which is why dates are never a promise. We've kept every promise. We haven't gone out and, held the bigathons. We haven't sold spaceships or horses or caravans. We haven't changed our direction and decided, hey, we'll make a Battle Royale game instead of making this game. We've stuck to what we said we would do. And so, just as I said to you then, I say to you now, you folks will have a lot of input into how this game evolves over the next year.
And the tree came on right on time.
Oh, fantastic. So, yeah, I hope you enjoy it. I hope I see you on Wednesday inside the game, and it's B1D1. But if not, it won't be from lack of effort. I hope I will see you all in a test shortly. As soon as we can get Noir to prep up, we'll open it up to the alphas and then the betas soon after, like really soon after, if it's stable. So again, we thank you for your support. We thank you for your patience. Oh, and I don't think I said why no top 10. I know top 10 because I didn't want Tyler or Ash or any of the team having to take any time to write or edit what we've written about them. Every hour counts, and we don't want to waste any of that time. So thank you all, and I'm going to go back to working on the Beta 1 document before the Origin interview. So hopefully I'll see some of you there. So see ya.
See you later.